Bungie seems to be hiring a whole new team for the future development of Marathon, but that isn't even the craziest part of today's news story. And we'll get to that in just a moment. Let's start from the beginning here. Marathon Bulletin posts saying that Bungie is actively hiring new roles for Marathon. We've got the Marathon Commerce and Events art lead, which the first thing I have to notice is that these are almost all like higher up positions. You've got lead and some senior positions here. None of these are like straight up entry level positions into Marathon, which if they were just a bunch of entry level positions, no one would really care that much. It's because they're lead positions and senior positions that it's really alarming some bells for people. A lot of Bungie developers are either leaving this project or being fired from this project, as Bungie has announced an indefinite suspension of Marathon, as Bungie has announced an indefinite delay of Marathon, which we were anticipating after everything that happened, right? After the art theft scandal and after the terrible reception of the alpha playtest, a delay was inevitable. But an indefinite delay is very crazy because that means that Marathon could be delayed for as little as 6 months or as much as 2 years. And when we look at all these different roles that are brought here, we have Marathon Gameplay Engineering Lead, Marathon Investment Engineering Lead. This gives me hints that Marathon is in for a long delay. I don't think that you switch up such higher up roles to just give a very short term, 2-3 month delay, 6 month delay. When you're switching positions like this, Marathon Activities Technical Designer mid to senior, you are making some massive shifts. And this is late stage development here, right? This is 6 years put into Marathon. The game was meant to ship literally in 3 months from now. And we are now getting a new Marathon Principal Product Manager for game systems. And the last one here is the Marathon Test Lead for the meta gameplay systems. So some big roles being advertised for this game. And obviously these pay very well. I mean, if you don't know, game development is a very lucrative industry to jump into. But with those big salaries comes the volatility, of course, if a game flops, which Marathon isn't looking very good, right? If we had to predict games that are going to flop hard in the next 5 years, Marathon is definitely at the top of that list. Currently, of course, but maybe Bungie can turn it around. Now, some questions from the live stream on twitch.tv/lucky10p. What does it really mean when a studio hires senior devs this late? As I mentioned previously, it probably means like 3 things. One, you have various developers leaving this project, which I think there's going to be a decent amount of that, especially after the art theft. No one really wants their name to be tagged and associated with a project that is turning into a dumpster fire. It is more than likely going to be a massive disaster. We recently saw this with the game Concord that, crashed and burned, and all of the devs that are part of that really don't want that on their LinkedIn, right? You don't want to have, as you move on to the next job, people looking at your resume and saying, oh, so you were a person that worked on Concord or you're a person that worked on Marathon, two of the biggest gaming disasters potentially in gaming history. So that's the first inclination that I have, which is there's probably people who are in the higher up roles that don't want to have all of the blame pinned on them for Marathon being an absolute failure. And so their goal is to get out while they can, so that way they don't have to be left holding the bag. The second inclination I have is that there may very well be various devs that are actually being fired or laid off due to the massive oversight in regards to the art theft controversy and just the in general oversight of this game being such a massive flop, right? Once you've delivered the alpha and everyone's seen its reception and it's received so poorly, the only thing there's left to think is that the people who developed this do not deserve jobs. They need to be laid off, they need to be fired, and new developers need to come in their place and do the job that they couldn't do. This might seem really harsh and really mean, and I'm not saying this to like every dev in a personal level. Like, I know they have families and people that they support, and I'm not trying to take away their money and their income, but that's just how business works. When you do such a bad job like they did with the Marathon Alpha, you lose your job. That's just how it works in every industry. And if you don't lose your job, what happens is you deliver a disaster like Concord, which in turn makes you lose your job anyway. So you either lose your job earlier on in this early stage, or you lose it later on when the game actually delivers and flops. And lastly, the third methodology that Bungie might be cooking up here with this is that maybe they're actually taking a more radical approach and they're just adding more to the team, right? Maybe no one's leaving, maybe there's not anyone being fired, which is probably unlikely, but maybe they're actually just adding more so that way they can double down on just how much they need Marathon to be a big success. There's something that we've heard time and time again. Bungie needs this to be a success. Sony needs this game to be a massive success. They are banking on it. They have invested so much time, money, energy, resources into this being a success that failure for them is simply non-optional, which means that they're willing to hire additional lead developers to bring the best and brightest they possibly can to this team to make this game a success. And I really hope that that is the outcome, because if it is, then there may very well be a chance that Marathon could do something, but it's something of a stretch and only time will tell. The next question comes to us from the TikTok live stream, which is, could this be Bungie trying to save Marathon before launch? And yes, that's exactly what this is. Bungie was well aware of the disaster that was building, and that the due date of a September launch of this game would have been the worst possible outcome. This game would have been dead on arrival, period. No one above 50 IQ would disagree with that statement. The alpha was received so poorly and had such little interest. To pair that with the art theft scandal, there's just no way that they could possibly dig themselves out of this with the current due date of a September release of this game. So the only option truly was for an indefinite delay, as they've done now, or to just straight up cancel the game altogether. But as I've mentioned before, because they've already sunk about $200 million due to our estimations, I highly doubt that they want to just cancel the game so quickly. They would like to give it a second chance, a second pass through, hire additional lead developers, and see if they can change the art style, take out the stolen art, everything, right? And see if they can give it a second chance to breathe new life, and see if the gaming community will take to its new reception when they re-announce Marathon, which who knows when that could be. The third question here coming to us from Twitch is, how much impact can a new lead have this far in? That's actually an excellent question, because right now, like I said before, we're in very late stage development of this game. We're 5 to 6 years deep in development, and hiring all these new lead developers can do a lot if they're given an extended period of time, right? You already kind of have the bare bones assets of Marathon out there, right? You have the maps there, you have all the plan, the timeline. I mean, they were meant to launch this game in September, so they were at least confident enough that this game was launch worthy as a Bungie title, which is meant to have a lot of weight in the gaming sphere, right? So they were meant to have a September launch. Adding all these new lead developers and giving them enough time will be the real key here. If we're talking about a 6-month delay, maybe not enough time to change enough. A 1-year delay, now we're cooking. A 2-year delay, I mean, it could be a whole new game. If you had a 2-year delay with all the new lead shifts, this game could look and feel and play completely different than what we saw. It wouldn't even have to be called Marathon. You might not even recognize what the new iteration of it would be compared to the old iteration with a whole new lead team. So I'm very optimistic about the new lead team if they give them enough time. There's a possibility, right? But let me know what you think down in the comments. We have an indefinite delay. We have massive new hirings and leadership shifts. And we have Sony breathing down Bungie's neck, trying to get them to get this game out within this fiscal year. And that is March 31st, 2026. Will Bungie be able to make these massive shifts and deliver on that deadline? Or are we looking for a potential 1-year or 2-year delay of Marathon? Only time will tell, but once we do get that news, we'll bring you a video updating you. So of course, make sure you're subscribed to the channel with notifications on. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash the like button and click on the screen here to watch another one from the channel. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Later.